side. So let's kind of be here and let's solve all the problems for small and medium-sized cities right now in this room. Okay, so I'm Chandana Mitra, and I'm going to speak for my student. This was his master's thesis, and I wanted to put up his picture because I couldn't bring all my students, pretty expensive coming to Australia from US. So I said, okay, the best thing I can do is have your pictures there. So this is Brandon Ryan. As I was saying, this is his master's thesis, and I'm going to just talk about one section of his master's thesis. He's now doing PhD with me, and I'm very happy that he's continuing because always it's good to have good students continue as PhD students, as you know, most of you. Okay, so what we did is we tried to look at migration, and for that, and especially looking at Southeast US and in small and medium-sized cities, and we used a unique technique as far as our knowledge goes. We used the IRS data, which is like tax, where people file their tax. And we kind of connected it with different hurricanes, because in the southeast of US, hurricanes is a big thing. It's a big issue with one of the biggest natural hazards. So we tried to come up with conclusive ideas about whether these extreme weather events are actually making people move from one place to the other. And that sort of calls for what's going to happen in the future. So, so again, the area is Southeast US, and this is really high up. I'm getting like pain here. So let me look here. Sorry, I'm going to not look up there. And so let me not go with this introductory slide. Let's directly move into the next slide. Is why do people migrate? Why do people move from one place to the other? And there are generally, we say there are 5 drivers. The first one is the push factors, which is employment, war, and of course natural hazards, extreme weather events. And then we have the pull factors, which is more on the lines of work, education, like the university, like here, the university, right? So many of the people from all around Australia are coming here. Then we have network devices, which is very important, family and social ties. Those are very important. How far you want to take your child to school. That's also one reason why you go to a certain city and settle. Then we have national policies, which is policies which allow and not allow people to migrate from one place to another. And the 5th one is individual choice. Like, for example, I get up in the morning and I think I'm going to come and settle in Sydney. And so that's my personal choice. That's also migration from one place to the other, right? So there are 5 drivers which sort of induce migration of humans from one place to the other. So now coming to the southeast, as I was saying, that hurricanes are pretty common in the southeast of US. And this is, I don't want to preach to the choir because most of you know what hurricanes are in case. And hurricanes are the name given to these storms in the US part of them. And then we have typhoons in the Pacific, and then we call them tropical cyclones in South Asia. So they're just the same ones, those donut-shaped things moving around, and we categorize them based on winds. And for our benefit, what we did is we went ahead and looked at 3 major storms, really renowned ones. And on the right-hand side, you can see it's Hurricane Katrina, 2005, which was really, blew people's mind off as to the amount of damage it did to Louisiana and also to Mississippi, both the states. Then we also looked at, Superstorm Sandy in New York and tried to see if there was if it induced any migration, from the New York area into small and medium-sized cities in the southeast. And we are again focusing on Southeast US. And the last but not least was Hurricane Harvey, which was in 2017. And these pictures, you can see the numbers, how many people actually displaced. So 600,000 in case of Katrina. We have 776,000 in case of Superstorm Sandy, and 134,000 in case of Harvey. So people are all moving around because of these huge hurricanes. Now, it's not just the southeast, but all over US also people are moving. And the thing is that what happens, because we always want to go back to our homes, so people are migrating out, but after a certain time, they also go back to their home, wherever it was. But then history repeats itself, and sometimes people, just completely move away and permanently move away from their homes, or stay back and just go through the brunt of that storm, another storm coming through the way. What we have seen is that people in America, people are still moving to places where there are wildfires, like California. It's still a hot area where people, I have to go to California. They dream of going to California, right? And then still people are moving to places where there are floods happening. So, even after Harvey, Houston still sees people going there, and buildings are coming up in the flood zone still. So there's no rule on that. So we see there's still this tendency of people to go on and go to the hazard prone areas. So migration is happening, but again, coming back is also a common thing, and people moving to risky areas is still seen in Americas. Now, the other thing is the prediction is that with climate change and future migration is going to be much more enhanced with this whole widening of the wealth gap which we are seeing happening in US. So this is not going to stop. This is going to continue and continue, this whole migration pattern. But hopefully, the thing we were trying to find is if it's induced by natural hazards or extreme weather events. Now, getting to the question which we are looking at is, can the IRS data, which is the Internal Revenue Service status of income data, reveal that individuals are potentially moving due to climatically induced weather events, right? So we're trying to say if the IRS data can help us understand that, where people are moving. So the study area here is again Southeast US, but IRS data gives us state level data and county level. So county is, for the ones who are not familiar with US, is more like district, like in Australia or in South Asia we call districts. District and county goes hand in hand. So the IRS data or the tax return data comes state and county level. So we chose county level, and it really fits in well because if you look at this box there, you will see that Atlanta and Charlotte, they are the two biggest cities, but the other ones, which is Birmingham, Columbus, Columbia, and Valdosta and Dothan, they are really small to medium-sized cities. And here again, as Louis was telling, with the Indian context, it's just like 65,000 people to 140 or 150,000 people when we talk about small to medium-sized cities. And Atlanta has around 3 or 4 million. That's it. So it's really a large city, but that's the total population, which is not similar to what the Indian or South Asian standards are, or even in China. So on previous slide, actually, I should tell you that the reason why we had that is because we were assuming that these cities, these small, medium-sized cities, and Atlanta and Charlotte, when people move into these counties, they will actually go into these big cities and settle up there. That was the assumption we had when we're looking at IRS data. Now, a little bit about the IRS data. So this tax return, what happens is, and why did we use it? So, for example, I live in point number A or place number A this year. And next year I move to point or place number B. So when I'm filing taxes, this year I'm filing my tax from point A, but then I move to point B and I file my tax from point B. So that tells me that I'm moving, right? So that was as a reason why we used IRS data. And what we did is we tried, there was inflow migration and outflow migration. We did not bother much about the outflow because we don't want to see who's going out. We want to see how many people are coming into these cities, into these particular counties. So we only looked at inflow migration data, or the taxes people are paying when they're coming into a city, right? Okay. And we also looked at individuals. So, and this is common for every country, is individually people file taxes and then as families. But we stuck to individuals because sometimes even within families, there are a husband and a wife who are doing individual filing of taxes. So we thought we'll go with the individuals because it's going to capture more people. How many people are moving around? Okay, this is the method. And you can see it's a very thesis sort of a presentation. So, like method, first we did organize the IRS data, and we used an ArcGIS. We used a summary within tool to arrange everything. We went regional, like looking at different regions nationally, and then we went by state level and the county level. And then we went into trying to find if there's some significant spikes. Then select hazard which occurred, which in our case it was hurricanes. And then of course we tried to bring out the connection with it. Now first I'll go with the county or the small city scale, and then I'll just show you what was happening nationally. Now this is Dothan. Dothan is a small city, around 60,000 so population, and this was around 2005 when Katrina hit Louisiana and Mississippi. So on the top one, if you look at that map and you look at the purple box, that's Louisiana and Mississippi area, and you see that there are no migration coming into Dothan, which is that yellow star. If you look at the map, the yellow star is Dothan. And you see that in 2004, there are people who are coming into Dothan. And so the green dots are from where people have moved into Dothan in 2004. Correct? Now, the next one you see the red, the purple box, and you see there are 3 red dots, which suddenly popped up in 2005, which means they're filing their taxes in 2006 by April. So they moved in 2005 into 2006 into Dothan, like a really, really small little town. But they are missing when you go on to the next one, which is the dots are completely gone in 2006, which means the migration was just happening in 2005. And that's why the conclusion is that probably the Hurricane Katrina, which was huge and huge amount of damage happened in Louisiana, Mississippi, people have been moving to a small town like Dothan, very insignificant in Alabama. Right? And why do we care? Because we need to see that the stakeholders, the practitioners, that they are prepared to get just around 100 people moved into Dothan. But in a population of 60, 100 or so, 100 is huge. You have to cater to the schools for children. You have to cater to houses and other resources. So if this continues, there's going to be a big pressure on small towns like Dothan, right? So 61 from Louisiana and 31 from Mississippi moved into Dothan. Next one is Superstorm Sandy. That was 2012. And again, 2011, you can see those are people moving into Atlanta. I couldn't show Atlanta because it was really south. But those green dots are from where people have moved into Atlanta in 2011. Now let's look at 2012. You see, and I forgot, the red line is the pathway of Superstorm Sandy. I had it for Katrina too. So the blue area is where the disaster declarations were done. So again, in 2012, you can see that the red dots have popped up, right? And then in the next one, you see in 2013, the newer counties, which suddenly people saw people migrating into Atlanta, have vanished from the map. The older few of the counties still remain. So there's a difference. So again, we're deducing that because of Superstorm Sandy, people have been moving into Atlanta. But that's a big city. And now let's look at, that was Columbus. I think for some reason I'm missing out the Columbus one. Sorry. Oh yeah, Columbus. So this is also 2011. And you can see how people are moving into, Columbus is just around 100,000 people. Really a small city again, okay? So in 2013, people are not moving into Columbus anymore. So the point here is that these smaller cities, which are 50,000, maybe 10,000 to say around 100,000, do they have the capacity to take up this kind of migration, and is going to increase as the prediction is? So are they prepared for it? And that's why it's very important to understand how many people are coming in and why people are coming in. So now let's look at quickly at what's happening nationally, what was happening. So this is, we divided the US into West, Midwest, South, and Northeast. And we tried to see how many people came into, again, those cities. So Valdosta, Dothan, Columbus, Birmingham, and Columbia, small and medium-sized cities, and Atlanta and Charlotte are the big ones. So what we found is most of it was in-state, Southeast in-state migration. So from the people from the South were coming into Valdosta, between 2008 and 2018, 2003 and 2018, sorry, around 50,000 people came in. Then 50,000 people to Dothan, right, within the Southeast US. And so it continued as much as you see in Atlanta, it was around 900,000 people moved into this particular time zone. And this is all IRS data, mind you. So it means they're filing taxes. Now, another very important thing and very interesting fact we found was from the West, and we thought, we don't know the reason, probably because of wildfires or just because of the huge, the expense of living that people were moving to the Southeast, because West weather is fantastic. So even into Valdosta, Dothan, and if you're not familiar with US, these cities are very insignificant as such. They're not important. They are not like New York or Los Angeles or even Atlanta, where people would love to come in and settle. That was what was very striking in our studies. Why are people moving into these small cities? And that was something which was alarming, that we have to sort of think about these small and medium-sized cities. Okay, so what we understood, we look at the spikes. Of course, Atlanta, the green one is going higher up. Then we have, the Alabama, Dothan, and the others in Columbus, and then we have, Columbia. You can see everywhere the spikes are going in. So intrastate, what we found is intrastate migration was the highest for each of these 7 counties. And the largest amount of migration occurred from counties like within Alabama, California, Florida, Georgia, New Jersey, New York, South Carolina, and Virginia. So, Louis, from your state too, people are coming into the Southeast, into these small, tiny little places. That was what really fascinated me. Anyway, so the last but very important slide here is, why is this study important? Why are we doing this? And why do we need to know why migration is happening into these, or inflow of people are coming into these small cities? Because it is something which is not a problem if it's going to happen. It's already happening. We're just waiting for when there'll be a huge rush of people coming into small and medium-sized cities. Because again, we have seen and we have heard so many talks, a lot of resources go into big cities, but really the people who are there in small and medium-sized cities, they don't have any understanding. The mayor's last priority is looking at sustainability, and which you're going to hear the last talk which I'm going to give. No one cares about these things. They just care about, okay, I'm here for 4 years, 5 years, let me do whatever I can do for the common people. That's it. Get the votes, maybe renew, and that's it. So so how do we make this better? Is there a way, interventions? Do we do more education? Maybe just climate change communication? What are the different ways we can help? And these are pictures from already where people have moved away from their home. Okay, so last is questions. And so nice of Brandon, he said, I'm doing a QR code. The young people are all into QR codes. So there's one big chunk of another section of the thesis. If you really want to know more about this migration, IRS data, and what's happening, and why, there's a huge analysis which he has done on his thesis, which is on the way of publication. So please go ahead and scan again the IR code there. But anyway, I'm open to questions too. Yeah. Yes, please.